For decades, the MBA was treated sort of like a golden ticket. You quit your job, you take on a huge tuition bill, and in return, hopefully come out with new network, new skills, and a higher pay role. Now, something really interesting is happening. Business schools start knocking tens of thousands of dollars off of that price tag, convince people that it's worth stepping away from work. Some schools cutting list tuition by nearly 40%. Purdue University, for example, has slashed MBA tuition by around 40%, while the University of California, Irvine is cutting as much as 38%. Others, like Washington University in St. Louis and Johns Hopkins, are learning on new scholarships rather than headline tuition cuts. All of this is happening as demand for full-time MBAs is softening more as professionals decide to keep working instead of going back to school. Experts are already warning these discounts may not be sustainable for schools that themselves are under budget pressure. Welcome to Business Insights Daily. I'm your host, Sashank. What does it really mean when an elite business school starts putting themselves on sale? As you listen, keep this question in the back of your mind. If people teaching pricing strategy are suddenly discounting their own flagship product, what does that tell us about an MBA is really worth right now? And to whom? Let's start with what's actually changing. Several well-known business schools all either cutting their published tuition by eye-catching amounts, dramatically increasing scholarship support by bringing down retail costs for many students. Concrete examples is Purdue's business school, which reduced its tuition for MBAs by roughly 40%. That could translate into tens of thousands of dollars off the total bill in over 2 years. UC Irvine's Paul Mirage School of Business is cutting tuition by up to 38% for its full-time MBA cohort. Washington University and Johns Hopkins are rolling out new scholarship programs that can have similar effects, even if the headline sticker price hasn't moved much. Why? Applications for traditional full-time MBAs are under pressure. Many professionals are reluctant to leave good jobs, especially in the world of wage growth and uncertainty about payoff of another degree. Some schools are choosing cheaper, more flexible alternatives, online programs, part-time and executive MBAs, short certificates, and company-sponsored trainings. All in all, some schools are trying something that for years they insisted that they didn't need to do at scale: compete with each other all at once. Is this a buyer's market, or are the MBAs just a short-term sale? Which leads us back to a second question. If you're thinking about business school, suddenly a golden moment to negotiate and shop around. Are these cuts more temporary promotions that could snap back once demand stabilizes? Understand the discounts, you have to look at the force pushing people away from full-time MBA programs. A few big ones include opportunity costs that feel higher. Taking 2 years off to study means giving up salary and bonuses, potentially stepping out of fast-moving role or industry, or losing momentum in a company that might otherwise promote you. In a strong labor market, that might feel like a bigger sacrifice than during a recession, when jobs are scarce and school becomes a safe harbor. So, alternatives get multiplied. Today, you can get high-quality online MBAs at a much lower cost. Specialized master's degrees in data science, finance, or analytics. Shorter certification programs from top schools or platforms, in addition to internal leadership programs at big firms. Instead of MBA or nothing, the decision is MBA versus a menu of cheaper, more flexible options. Number 3, ROI is louder. Social media and salary transparency sites make it easy to ask, does this specific program at this specific school really move the needle for people like me? If the answer looks fuzzy, a 6-figure price tag is harder to justify. Schools are responding with discounts because they can see that, at old prices, too many talented applicants are simply walking away. From the school's perspective, These cuts and scholarship have several different purposes. Number one, filling seats. MBA programs are designed for staffing to a certain cohort size. Empty seats means that less tuition revenue, less vibrancy in the classroom and recruiting market, and more questions in university leadership. Price cuts are a way to keep those classes full. Predicted rankings often change and keep those classes full, protecting ranking and reputation. Ranking often factors in things like the average GMAT score, acceptance rate, and employee outcomes. If this demand fails and they meet weaker or smaller cohorts, rankings can drop, which can then hurt future demand for those programs. Repositioning the product. Some schools are using cutting edge technology or handing out more scholarships, which hits the bottom line. Experts warn that many business schools already cross subsidize other parts of their universities. Endowment incomes and donations fluctuate with markets. You permanently lower revenue per student without radically cutting costs or dramatically increasing volumes, and you compress margins. Can you discount your way back to health? Which raises our third and final big question. For schools that are already feeling budget strain, is aggressive discounting just a bridge to a healthier model? Or is it a short-term fix that could possibly make financial problems worse in a few years? If you think about an MBA right now, the landscape absolutely changes the calculus. On the plus side, sticker shocker may be lower. A 30 to 40% tuition cut can materially reduce your debt and psychological barriers to applying. Scholarships are more common. Even at schools that haven't slashed list prices, there might be more made on the table available, especially for strong or underrepresented backgrounds. If you have negotiating power, if you have multiple offers, you can sometimes ask to match one school to match another one's financial packages. On the cautionary side, however, don't assume that an MBA program is automatically a deal. A cheaper program with weaker outcomes might still be a poor investment. You still have to look hard at the placement rates and median salaries, alumni networks and target industries or geography, and support for internships, visas if relevant, and career pivots. Think beyond year one. Ask, will this level of discount persist, or is it simply just promotions? Could a school cut services, career coaching, or experiential learning budget its balance? And questions have shifted. Can I afford my MBA? To which MBA at which price makes sense for my specific goals? The future of business education. Zoom out, and we see these discounts hit deeper changes in how business education will work. We might see more modular paths, schools unbundle MBAs into stackable certificates, part-time and hybrid offers, and short intensive residencies layered into online learning. Number two, closer ties to employers. Companies co-fund degrees on custom programs, sharing costs and shaping curriculum more effectively in exchange for retention commitments. Sharper differentiation. Some schools co-fund degrees or custom programs, sharing cost and shaping curricula more directly in exchange for retention commitments. Others may double down on full-time on-campus MBAs immersive experiences. Others pivot to flexible or online offerings as their main pitch. Few may downsize or even exit the traditional MBA market altogether. For universities, business schools have been absolute profit centers. If that changes, there could be ripple effects across the entire school itself. Fewer cost subsidies to other departments, more pressure to cut or reconfigure programs, and new expectations on how quickly education yields job market returns. So, let's go back to three questions that we started off with. What does it mean when elite business schools put themselves on sale? It means an old assumption. The demand for MBAs will always be strong enough to support ever-rising prices in breaking. Schools are admitted, with their pricing, the market is pushing back. Number two, is this a buyer's market or a short-term sale? Right now, the balance of power has tilted a bit towards the students, especially stronger candidates. And unless schools reinvent their hall structures, deep discounts may stop sustainability indefinitely. Number three, can you discount your way back to health? Discounts can buy time and keep classrooms full. They're not long-term business models. For MBA students, schools will likely need to whack out to rethink not just what they charge, but what exactly they offer in a world where career, skills, and learning all move faster than 2-year degree. Thank you for listening to Business Insights Daily. If you bump into someone who says, I got into business school because they offered me a deep discount, it might be worth asking follow up. Are they lowering the price because they believe in you, or because of the whole idea of what an MBA is has changed drastically and is quietly being renegotiated? Thank you for listening to Business Insights Daily. I'm your host, Shank, and I'll see you next time.